Okay, so as part of this video, I am going to actually show you guys how to create a graph on the computer and pull it into your Google Doc for your LDC. So on your computers, you're going to want to find the program here. It's called Logger Pro, and you're going to click on that, and it's going to come up, and it kind of looks a little bit like a graph to a certain extent. We are actually going to start over here on the left-hand side with the data set, and that's where you're actually going to input your data. So I'm going to put in some data, and all I'm doing to go between the boxes is I'm actually just tabbing. So I continue to add my data. And you'll notice that as I'm doing that, it is actually adding my points right on to my graph in red over here. All right, let me add a few more. Might help if I could type. And then there we go. Okay, so oh, one of them's not right. Oh, there we go. I hit 30 instead of 50. There we go. That's what my graph looks like. Okay, so as soon as I have that, then I have all of my points placed in, which is really, really great. Now, in order to make sure that the graph is the appropriate size for my points, you want to go up here to the letter A, and you just want to click on that. And what it does is it auto scales. It kind of shifts everything so that everything fits more appropriately. And then you don't have to do anything. It creates your scales for you, and it actually plots your points, which is kind of nice. Now, in order to actually have a line, we want to go to this one up here, which says Curve Fit. So I want to click on that. And then you get a whole bunch of weird choices. You actually want the quintic option, and you want to try the fit and make sure that it connects all of your points. And you can do that by just using the preview here at the top. Okay. Once you have that, then you can click on OK, and you'll notice that it adds the line in. All right. Now, it also comes up with this big box here, and that you really don't need, so it kind of interferes. So what you want to do is you actually want to come up here and click the minimize button, and that way then it just will keep that arrow going to there, but all the other stuff kind of goes away. So it's actually done the hard work for you in terms of your graph, which is nice. So the other thing that you need to do is to then label your axes and your titles. So double click on the letter X, okay? And what you're going to do is then you're going to actually type in the name. Now for your x-axis, that is your independent variable. All right? And then you'll see down here we also have the units box. So you would type in your unit right here, and then you can click on Done. And you'll notice it puts the label right on the y-axis. So you want to do this over in your data set, not actually over on the graph itself. Okay. Then you do the same thing for the y. So we would put our dependent variable here, and the unit here is whatever unit that it is in, and we put Done. And again, it inserts it there. So now I have my plots pointed with my line. I have my independent variable and my dependent variable. Now I need to take care of my title. To do that, you see how I got the hand up top here? I just double click at the top of my graph, and this pop-up box comes up. Don't worry about the label for the y-axis or anything like that. We've already taken care of that by going over here to the side. You want to instead click on Graph Options, and you come up with the title. Okay, so here you want an appropriate title using your variables. And once you click on OK, it puts it into place for you. So now I have my x-axis label with the unit, the y-axis label with the unit, and I have my appropriate title using the variables. This is great because it saves you just a ton of time in terms of actually drawing things out on a graph itself. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you will not be using this data set over here as your data table. You will actually put a data table into your Google Docs separately. But now I need to get this graph over to my Google Docs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my Google Docs. Okay, so google.com. And you actually want to sign in. So I'm going to sign in with my account. Now remember, yours is your student number, and then yours is at students, mine is at teachers.pasd.us, and then you type in your password. Okay. Once you have that, then you want to click on the grid here for Google Apps, and you want to go to Docs. It will come up, and you actually are going to want to start a new document if you haven't already. All right, so I'm going to start a new document. And I have my untitled new document here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to Logger Pro and click on my graph. And you see how I got the 4 squares at the corners of my graph. I am then going to do Command C, which copies my graph. And then I'm going to toggle back over to my Google Doc and hit Command V. I get the little working symbols. And then next thing you know, my graph now appears in my Google Doc, just like that. It is just that easy. Now, my recommendation is that you can do this, but before you do this, you actually want to kind of make sure you have some room ahead of this, because the graph does not come first in your lab report. Be sure that you look at your lab report directions to understand exactly where they came from. All right, so for the rest of the lab report explanation, you're going to actually watch a different video, and that is also up for you to reference as well. So good luck with this, and have fun.